how did you start out in the business? How did you,
Okay.
yeah, how did you get into this?
So I grew up in New Orleans. My parents are both musicians, and I always really liked to write. And at first I thought I wanted to be a film writer at first, like a screenwriter. And then like the further along I got in school, like my dad had a recording studio in our house, and I was just like I couldn't escape music. I just couldn't escape it. So when I went to college, I double majored in English and communications.
Okay.
And I just started interning. Like everyone had always told me, like intern. So from pretty much the time I started college as a freshman, I was interning the entire 4 years. And I interned for like a management company in New Orleans. I interned at House of Blues. I worked at the Louisiana Music Commission for like 2 or 3 years. I don't even think that exists anymore. But so I did all these things, and 1 year I got to, this was like I'm old, but this is one of the very early internet days, and MTV for their website used to have like they call them local stringers all over the country in different cities. So I was like the New Orleans local stringer for MTV's website, and I would like write music reviews. I would go to shows and write reviews and stuff.
So it's kind of like an old, like, I guess you would call that like a campus rep type thing, like
kind of, yeah. Like I was like the New Orleans rep for like their website.
That's cool.
It was fun. It was really neat, I have to say. Like I used to love going to shows and being like, I'm with MTV. But so I graduated from college. I moved to my whole thing was, and I think you and your fellow students will relate, like I was looking at college coming, like graduation coming, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a job. I don't have a job. And I remember my junior year, so my college, I went to Loyola in New Orleans, and they started a music business program while I think I was in my junior year. Okay. So I didn't have time to major in it or anything, but I started taking the classes and I got to know the professors, and I went into the music business chair and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm graduating from college. I don't have a job, but I was trying to get, this was my junior year. So I was trying to get an internship the summer before, because I was like, I had it all mapped out. I was like, I'm going to get an internship that summer. I'll come back, finish college, and then I'll get a job. So I remember he printed out like all of his contacts, and most of them were his old students in New York. And he's like, you're going to contact all these people and tell them you want an internship. And I was like, okay. So I did that. I finally ended up getting an internship that summer. And then I moved back to New Orleans and finished school. And then again, graduation was like looming. And I was like, I don't have a job. What am I going to do? I don't have a job. And, so again, I went into his office. I was like, yeah, okay, I got an internship, but I don't have a job. And he's like, you're just going to have to move there. And I was like, what no. And I was like, I can't move there without, he's like, this is what you're going to do. He's like, you're going to call the temp agency, or you're going to contact all your friends at the record labels that you made when you were an intern, and find out from them what temp agencies their HR department uses. And you're going to become a temp, and you're going to get to know people, and that's how you're going to network. And I was like, so I moved up to New York on August 11th, 2001. A month to the day before September 11th.
Gosh, yeah.
I was temping, and I remember September 11th was the first day I had this 3-month-long temp job at Universal. And I mean, then, and so then everything changed after September 11th.
Oh, yeah.
And my mother's like, you're coming home, right? And I was like, no, I'm not. I live here now. But I mean, trying to find a job then is like trying to find a job in the pandemic. It was like, people were like, what's happening? Are we under attack? Like what? It was like, people are worried about their basic needs, like not trying to fill positions.
Yeah. Gosh, that's crazy.
It was crazy. And so luckily I had this like 3-month-long temp job. And while I was at this job, a position opened up in A&R administration at Universal Records, which, if you know what A&R administration is, it's like the finance side of the recording, which is not what I wanted to do.
Right.
But I took it because I had no other job, and I had already been in New York for like 6 months by that point.
Okay.
So I was like, and I mean, I remember days of waking up before I got that extended temp job. I would have to wake up in the morning and call the temp agency, and they'd be like, well, we have a job today at the nurses union downtown. And I remember that one because I went down there and there was a 100-line switchboard that they wanted me to answer.
Oh my
And I'm like, it was like out of a movie. It's like, you never think that you're going to push yourself to these limits where you're like,
Right.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
But you know, if you want it bad enough, like eventually it will happen. It will happen.
That's
So I started at Universal in A&R admin as an assistant. I was there for a year and a half. I mean, I loved the people I worked with, but it was just not what I wanted to do.
right.
I'm not a math person. And I had a friend that had interned with me that summer before I graduated that was at Atlantic. And she's like, the head of publicity here is looking for an assistant. And I was like, okay, that's what I need. I knew I wanted to do PR. Like, I love to write. Like, I love telling stories. That's just what I do. So I got that job, and then I was at Atlantic for almost 15 years.
Wow.
I went from assistant, and when I left, I was VP
Oh
of
my gosh.
publicity. And
Wow.
yeah, it was awesome. I had some really awesome women that mentored me there, and like, I owe them so much. Like, they taught me everything.
That's
And
awesome.
so I was in New York until 2014, and my husband got a job offer in Austin. And by that time, like I said, I was ready to go. And so my boss allowed me to work remotely from Austin for about 4 years. And then in 2018, I left and started my own company.
Wow.
And now I'm here doing my thing.
Well, so I'm actually really curious about the temp agency thing, because this is the second time I've heard from someone. So I'm actually in the Warner Music Group classroom series that they're doing right now. Basically they didn't do internships in the summer. So the way that they have, I guess, replaced that is having this classroom series, and a bunch of people from different departments talk to us.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So, someone at Warner, not in Atlantic, but over in Warner Music LA, she was saying like, oh yeah, I was at a temp agency, and honestly, I didn't even know what a temp agency was until yesterday. So,
I mean, I don't even know if people still use, like, I don't know if the companies even still use them. I don't know.
yeah, well,
But
I mean, she's only been there for about like maybe a year. So
so maybe they
use them.
do.
Yeah. So I'm just like, but I didn't even know what that was. So I'm like, what the hell is this? So I was like, oh my gosh. But that's very interesting that you mentioned that too. So I didn't even know that was like a way in.
Well, I didn't either until my professor told me. Like, I was like really having anxiety when I graduated. Like, because I was like, hello, you're supposed to have a job, and then you graduate, but I don't have a job.
Right.
And it was terrifying. It's
Yeah.
still like, I don't know if today I could do it again. I'm glad I did it when I was young. But oh my gosh, like moving to New York and having to pay New York rent and not know if you're gonna have enough money every month. Like,
well, that must have been crazy for you to go from New Orleans to New York City. Like, that's what a difference. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's funny because I always say I've lived in the 3 best cities that the US has to offer. Like,
Right.
between New Orleans, New York, and Austin, I love them. Like,
How was Austin?
oh my gosh, I love it here. I mean, I would say, like, I wouldn't have wanted to move here straight after college.
Right.
But now that I have kids, and like, it's just, there's culture and there's music here, and it's just, people are just carefree. Like, it's very like New Orleans, except I feel like New Orleans is like, they're just a little bit different.
So, actually, because you kind of mentioned you had a lot of women as mentors and stuff.
Yes.
So actually, I kind of want to know, like, as a woman in the industry, like, what has your experience been like in a very like male dominated field? Like, can you say anything about that?
Yeah, I would say, I would say a lot of it has to do with which area you go into. I mean, luckily, at least for me, PR was very female heavy,
Right.
to where like the guys in our department, I think felt sometimes like, like they were outnumbered. But when I was at Atlantic, Julie Greenwald, she's an amazing leader. And I'm so happy that I got to work under her. Like, I feel like I learned so much from her and from my direct boss. Like, both of them have families, both of them value a work-life balance. And the thing is, it's hard to say that in this industry because you're going to be out at night a whole lot. You're going to be out at shows, but they understand that you still want to have a family, and there's importance in that. And I know both of them are very, like Julie has said in the past that she loves to hire women because by nature we're nurturers, and we're caregivers, and we nurture these artists and we develop artists because that's our instinct.
Right.
Is to take these artists under our wings and to just like
Right.
send them out into the world. And it's so true. It's so true. Like I feel like the relationships, and not to say that men have different relationships, but I know for me personally, like the relationships I have with the artists I've worked with for 10 and 15 years, like they're like family. They're family to me. And I feel like we grew up together, like it's pretty awesome.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I've heard so much great things about Julie just from like the panel speakers too. They've said the same thing, that she is like this amazing person. So yeah, that's awesome. I love what you said about like how she said like we as women are naturally nurturing and we want to take care of people, and that is so true.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like artist development is, people always say artist development is dead, blah, 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 okay. It's so important on so many levels.
Right.
Like on a macro cultural level, to find young talent and nurture it, and to help them grow their careers and find their audiences. That is just as important as when your artist gets huge and is everywhere, and and you have to almost protect them, like
exactly. Yeah.
They're both so important, both to music as an art, to music as an industry, to culture, to American culture.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of wanted to ask you because you have a family, and what you were saying before about how Atlantic Records and the women there, they kind of value that. In this, like you said before, in this industry, I feel like I've always been told from other people that it's going to be hard to have a family, to have like, a relationship with somebody in this industry because it's always go, go, go. You're on all the time. But I really want to hear some more about that from you because I want a family, and
I hear you.
I have a long
I remember asking people when I was in college and interviewing as an intern, the same thing.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Like part of me, I'm like, oh my God, like, am I not going to have time to have what I want?
Well, this is what I'll say is I put in my dues. Like when I graduated from college, I was at the office every night till 8 or 9 o'clock. Like I was going to shows all the time, but what did I have to go home to? A teeny tiny apartment. Like, when you do that stuff. And my husband was working at Epic at the time.
Oh, okay.
And we met through a mutual friend. So we were both in the music business together for a while, and he understood, like, and I have to say, I think that is one of the keys to success, is find someone who fully understands and sees the importance of your career, because through all of it, he has been so supportive of me. When I was like, look, I'm going to start my own company, he's like, do it. And I never in a million years thought he'd say that. But I think that's so key, is having someone who understands the lifestyle that goes along with it, because it is really hard. But you know what, then I'll say, like, it's dual. Like once I feel like once you get to the and everyone is different. Everyone is different. People have kids at different ages.
Right.
I felt like I wanted to establish my career as much as I could
Right.
before I started having kids, you
Right.
know, and it's yes, it's hard. It's really hard. You make it work, you know?
Whoa.
You can multitask
Oh
and
yeah.
you can get it done.
How has COVID like affected
Oh my
business?
gosh.
And like how's it like how are you doing this remotely?
Well, so I've been working from home since I moved to Austin,
Oh wow,
which
okay.
that's a whole topic in and of itself. I love working from home, but I feel like you can't, it's harder to do it in the beginning of your career as
Hmm.
opposed to now, like I can do this from anywhere. But you do miss, like there are days that I miss like bouncing ideas off of people and like having coffee with people and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but right now, this is I will say this is the hardest time in my recent in any my memory, and I think it's society's recent memory for working moms.
Wow.
It's it is so many of my friends have just like given up
Oh,
and like fallen out of the workforce, and like I mean I you know when all of this started, because my clients are musicians
right.
and tours got canceled and stuff, there was one week in March my phone rang and I lost half my roster.
Oh my
But
God.
I was like, I guess it's a blessing. Like I wasn't out there pounding the pavement because I've got to homeschool 2 kids now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that there's any, like, I want to be positive about it,
Right.
but I think this has really shown our society the injustices for working moms.
Yes. Yeah.
It's terrible. The struggle is real. Like I have friends that stay up all night working because they can't work during the day.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's something needs to change, like on a societal level,
Oh yeah.
because it's just not. And women are the first ones who are going to bow out, because if you're lucky enough to have a partner and it's a man,
Yeah.
then he's probably going to be making more money than you.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's
you're going to
very
sit down and let him keep working because you need the income.
well, it's very interesting that you say that because there's literally a study. They've already done one, and most of the people that are dropping out of the workforce are women and they
Yep.
are mothers. And it's like a crazy number. It's like 85%. It's sad because
It's so
we
sad.
we've worked so hard to get to these
Mhm.
points, and
Mhm.
we've had people like, okay, I want to be like women that are like, I want to be the next CEO of a company. And now it's kind of like all blown up in everyone's face. Like, what am I going to do now? Because like
Right.
you said, it's like especially if you're a single mother, I can't even imagine. Like, that's
I
crazy.
can't either. I mean, I had big plans. My little business was chugging along. We
Yeah.
were, 2 years in. I was looking to really expand and maybe hire someone to work with me, and then all of this happened.
Right.
And I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, thank goodness, because I'm glad I'm not responsible for someone else's salary right now. But
Right.
on the other hand, it's really frustrating, because when you start your own business, it's like really, you're making your dreams come true. Sorry
Yeah.
to sound very,
No, no, yeah. I
very
mean,
cliched, but it really is. It's like I've worked my whole adult life for this moment, and
right.
I was like this close to just taking the next step and everything, and then it's like someone pulls the rug out from under you for no fault of your own,
Yeah. Of
like,
course.
and everyone else is going through it, which is some comfort, but it's also not,
Right,
because
exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. My biggest pet peeve is like, well, everyone's going through it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still gonna be
yeah,
sad about it. Like,
exactly,
but
it's like, what are you gonna do?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, it's just like, and what you said before, which this whole thing has it's really opened my eyes up to what we can and cannot do from working from home and how much time we actually do waste, you know?
Oh yeah, I will say, like I'm a big advocate of working from home. I
Right.
think, but like I said, if you're trying to really learn and grow in your career, it's not easy,
Oh yeah.
because you are isolated to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and I will say too, this just popped in my head. So I was consulting with this agency here in Austin for a while, and one of the things that the owner had said to me, she said, "You won't find anyone more productive than a multitasking mom in a stressful job." And this is one thing I can say about women, is that we can
Oh yeah.
and I've never been as productive as I was after I had my kids, because like, it almost makes me think that those years that I was at the office till 8 or 9 o'clock, I probably could have gotten out a lot faster. But having the motivation of knowing that you're like,
right,
want to go hang out with your kids, like you get things done.
What's the best experience you've had, or a favorite artist that you've worked with?
Oh man, that's so hard. It's like picking a best experience. I will say there have been a few moments. So I grew up in this little suburb called Kenner, this suburb of New Orleans. And there have been moments and I've been like, from Kenner to the Grammys. Like that was a moment. The first time I got to go to the Grammys, and the first time I got to go was an incredible experience. It was when I was working with the band Fun.
Oh wow, okay.
And they ended up winning like Song of the Year and Best New Artist.
Oh my God.
And that same year I was also there with Halestorm, who there's right now they're not active, but they're still one of my clients I've worked with. And I mean, I've worked with them since the beginning, and they won a Grammy that year. And it was just like, so there's some, and this is advice I will say, when you're in those moments, they're so stressful and you're just worried about everything, but you have to stop and you have to look around you and take a breath, because those are the moments that are like, yeah, I worked for my whole life to get here, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like
awesome.
seeing everything out in front of you. That feeling must be like immense, and just wow, that's awesome.
I mean, I remember I was with Fun in their dressing room, and Dave Grohl came in looking for the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God.
that is such like a music person thing to say. That's awesome.
He was like, hey guys, do you know where the men's room is? I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So okay, and then I guess, what's the most challenging part of being in PR?
Oh gosh, I mean, you have to love it. Like, you'll know real quick if this is something you want to do, because the rejection is overwhelming. In fact, like some of my friends who are product manager, like I have one friend, she's now back in marketing at a label, but she was in marketing at a label, then she left to become a manager. And I remember her calling me and she's like, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I sent 250 emails about this artist I'm managing and no one replied. She's like, to press people, to editors. I was like, oh yeah, that's like my day every day.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, don't you get so frustrated and sad? I'm like, well, yeah, but that's why when I get the one email back, it makes my day. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I also just think the industry in general, like people have to be prepared. Like you're gonna get rejected at least once or twice, you know? So
yeah. And I mean, like, and I feel like for PR, it's like you can be on top of the world. Like you can get an SNL booking, and the moment lasts like 30 seconds, and then it's like, okay, what are you gonna do now?
yeah,
What's next?
Yep.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, can I just not celebrate this for just a little bit longer?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I guess like another thing that maybe, actually, I'm gonna ask you this too. What's a common misconception about the industry that maybe a lot of people have?
About the industry?
Yeah, or even about PR.
I think a lot of people think that PR people are very shallow, and while there are shallow people, they're in every facet of the industry.
Right.
But like, I think, like, for me personally, and a lot of my friends, we started out in school like trying to decide between journalism and PR.
Right.
And for me personally, I picked PR because I wanted to advocate for artists. Like, I love writing, I love telling a good story, I mean, like, I don't know if other people consider me shallow, but I feel like, you know, we're the real music lovers, just like journalists. Like, there's nothing more amazing than like when you bring a group of editors and writers to a show and they're like jamming out and you're like, I told you. Like, PR people are the ones that I know and love. We're music fans at the end of the day. Like, you've got to have, and that goes for all assets of this industry. You have to have passion for what you do, because it's tough. There are days that you're like, why am I doing this? But then you remember, like, then I remember that moment of being at the Grammys with both of my bands winning, and like,
that's crazy.
Like, that's why.
And that was your first Grammys, right?
That was my first Grammy. I know none of the rest of them have lived up to that.
That's still awesome. I mean, that's crazy. Okay, so last question. Any advice to college students or college age musicians looking to break into the PR industry, music industry in general?
I would say intern.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because the great thing about an internship is that you're learning skills, you're learning, and you're seeing how things function, but you're also networking. It's a dual objective that you have. And then I would just say, like, you know, try to, and it's so funny because I say this now, but I promise I was a lot different 20 years ago. Like, go out and see shows and meet people, and because, like, this is why you're doing this.
Right.
Because you love this lifestyle, because you love seeing live music, and meet people that share that with you, because those are the people that are gonna, you know, the people that I came up with as assistants are now executives.
Right.
And it's like, we came up together, and we've known each other for so long, and we've known, like, each other's passion, and, you know, it's like those are the memories and the experiences that you need to start having, as, you know, as soon as you can, like, for so many reasons. Like, I would not trade some of my memories, like, for the world. Like, it's pretty awesome. Not that I'm dead yet.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It was awesome.